lesson 4, since we were already looking at a bunch of headlines there, this is a great lesson. It's a big one. I think people don't realize that, there's sites like Upworthy and BuzzFeed and all these sites, and you often think that you're getting tricked into clicking, and many people call that clickbait. But the truth is, like, the reason that these things work is because um, people love headlines. They click on headlines. This is an old school sort of direct marketing quote, but basically, um, you you have got to catch their eyes or ears with something simple, something direct, and something they want. And things like clickbait tend to do that. And things that look like clickbait tend to get people drawn in. And what I would say is that um, if you're thinking that these things are bad, you probably want to think about some of the stats. So one of the stats about headlines is that 8 out of 10 people read the headline, but only 2 out of 10 people will read the rest of the post. So this is why headlines are so important, because most people will read the headline and they won't read the whole post. So if your headline's really good and it sums it up, that's actually a good thing for you. Oftentimes it goes even further and people will share something even before they fully read it, just because a headline, and like when they skim it, it seems really good. So here's a bunch of tips for better blog headlines. I'm not going to bore you with them because there's a bunch of articles out there that we've written about them. But the high level of this is that you don't have to follow all the rules, but when you do, you tend to have a better headline. If you have a better headline, you tend to get better traffic and better content marketing results. This is a headline my co-founder had. It's 5 shocking facts that will change your entire approach to social media. So if you look at all the scores, there's 2 of them, which is the 65 characters and the having 6 words in the headline. It has quite a bit more than 6 words. It has about 9 or 10. But every other rule has been basically followed. So it's a 5 out of 7, and it worked really well. So this was one posted on the Kissmetrics blog, and it ended up doing really well. It got a lot of traffic, got really good engagement, and it was all because it was just a really, really good title. So another thing, this is lesson 5, and this is one that, kind of proves the dominance of Google in a lot of ways. But basically, for many sites, and I'm going to show some data, organic search ends up being the top traffic source for their content. So again, you might remember this Google Trends chart about content marketing. Well, look at this one about SEO. SEO is much larger than content marketing, just from an attention standpoint and people thinking about it all the time sort of standpoint. So I have some data. So these are 5 different blogs and various channels up here that are represented. And then if you notice, all these blogs in blue is organic search, so it's Google search. And all these blogs have the #1 source being Google. And then from there, the number 2 is essentially direct. Direct basically means that people are just coming to the website off the URL, or it's untrackable. And then the 3rd source usually ends up being social. If you look at most of these, some of them have referral. And then in particular, this one has email as a 3rd source, as a top source. So you can see that the top 1 and 2 are usually the same. And then from there, things change. But the number 1 happens to be search, because search is still dominant. So these were the outliers. So this one where number 3, on B, number 3 is social. And on D, number 3 is email. Everyone else, all the other blogs that you see out here that we're representing, they either have referral or social, but these are 2 outliers that probably you can infer that these companies invested heavily in both of those things. So B invested in social and making sure social got them a lot of traffic, while D invested in email and made sure that they were collecting email and sending email back, or sending email to their visitors. One thing I'll say about search is that infographics and anything that builds links at scale works really well. So I'm going to give you an example. This infographic about how colors affect purchases was the first one we did at Kissmetrics many years ago. And it worked out really well. It even got me on a radio show. But when you look at it and you look at the backlinks, which is basically what helps with SEO and search, you'll notice that there's a lot of backlinks. There's about 1,055 total links that are coming to this site from 438 root domains. And if you look at it, that's it's about a third of the total root domains coming to the blog just to that one article, and then the total links are like about a fifth it equals about a fifth of the total link. So one single piece of content produced quite a bit, 20 to 30% of the results from a search standpoint. And this article, like, it just keeps going. Like, it just keeps, every now and then someone will pick it up and it'll sort of have another resurgence, and people will get really excited about talking about it, and you'll see a lot of people like link to it and traffic come in. So the spikes are really interesting to see how there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spikes over three or 4 years from the same piece of content. So content can keep on paying you off and generating you traffic if you do high quality content and lots of it.